All right. Hello. Welcome back. This is session 5 of the Katasa Red Door mini course. And we're all excited here about getting started to answer the questions that are coming up. Um, my name is Helmut, and as many of you probably know, I'm back here with my beautiful human friends, Laura Ketty, Laura Philpott. Hi, guys.
Hello. Good
And
morning.
Kay Cadell Whitaker. Hi, Kay.
Hello.
And I'd say we jump right in. We have a couple of questions here. Should I go ahead and read it, or do you want, Laura?
I like it when you read it.
Okay, I read it. So this first question is from Brigitte about anti-reagent. I got stung by a wasp this morning, so I put the sting in a plastic bag and then wrote a statement, antidote, clear out all poisons from wasp sting from my left foot. Is that the correct way?
Well, you could also take a picture of it and circle it and write a statement with that too.
Your left foot, that is.
Yeah, your left foot, wherever the sting was. Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Those are my favorite ways of doing it. Anytime I'm a skin detoxer. And so I get breakout on my face a lot from stuff. I have historic selfies. Every once in a while I look back at like why I took that selfie, but it was because of a breakout, or a bite or a sting, like Laura said, circling it, arrow. Thank you for healing this spot, clearing and removing all pathogens or poisons. A lot of times with like attracts like, when you get that boo-boo, other things tend to be drawn to it. And so, at least for me, as soon as there's an opening to get stuff out of my body, everything else that shouldn't be in my body runs for it.
Cool. And I forgot that Brigitte is Ricky. So hi, Ricky. Hi, Belinda. And if you guys want us to go on, we need more questions. So put them in the chat, please. And I have a couple for Kay, I think, that were emailed to me. And one is, what is the story about the bowl's material, like wood, and the color?
Well, there's a long history in there with the development. Once I had figured out the dimensions that I wanted, that the spirits liked, that the bowl seemed to like the most, that seemed the most efficient, then we needed to go to something more permanent, lastable, where that wouldn't warp. And if somebody dropped it, it went off the table, or the cat or the dog knocked it off, or who knows. You don't want to lose those dimensions. You want it to stay solid. And so this is the thing, and it's wood. It's a special wood. I don't remember the names exactly of how they described it, but it's a designer's plywood kind of a product, where the wood is very thin and it's layered between glue layers. And with the bowl, is really particular about materials and stuff. It does not like anything that's like poisonous. So if you've got glues or the paint or anything like that has some kind of chemical the bowl doesn't like, it won't work. It just, that's it. So we went through a lot of trial and error, and finally came to terms with which materials we had to use. And of course, they were like the most expensive things you could find on this kind of market. But well worth it. Well worth it. So um, the reason that the bowl is this shape, these dimensions, you can see it's a perfect cylinder. It has a flat bottom. They have right angle from floor to wall, and all that stuff is really important because that's what makes all the different wave forms, wave frequencies, and the waves that are bouncing in all these different directions that create all the different patterns, the field patterns, wave patterns, and they end up coming up with a certain group of frequencies, pattern of frequencies. It's like a symphony. It's creating a symphony that we cannot hear or see with our normal physical senses. And that's what creates the scalar wave. So it was not quick and it was not easy. Gotta admit, it was a little fun. It was kind of an adventure, like a treasure hunt to find out what makes it work. But I was looking at some different archaic videos, like going into ancient Egypt and Peru and all that kind of stuff. And there was this video of this place. They had gotten permission. They could go underground underneath one of the, not the primary pyramids, but one of the other pyramids, right underneath it in these tunnels. And the tunnels originally had been filled with crockery, with stone cut bowls and vessels of all different shapes and sizes. And he's walking down the hallway, very narrow hallway. There's still a bunch of stuff left. These things used to be filled with it. There were hundreds of thousands of these vases, stone, obviously high tech. You can't create any of these things without super high tech. It'd be hard for us to be able to duplicate many of them. And I saw these two together, the tops kind of crushed along the top, but they looked like they were this size, this shape, and maybe just a hair thicker than this. And it was stone. And I saw the same thing in, it's a dig in Mississippi or Georgia or some professor, way off over there. And he had it in his little book, all categorized, all the things that they found in the dig. And they called this a basin. And it was made out of terracotta. And it's 3,000 years old or something, maybe 5,000 years old. They can't really tell. And it wasn't used for anything else. It's never been fired. It's exactly this. So it was a big mystery. They had no idea what it was being used for. And, I thought, oh, I know. Every home had one, at least one. It's what knowledge goes around, comes around, disappears. There you go.
Okay, and the color.
The color is part of that, the whole concept of the shape and the energies. All these things are things that we don't see, the unseeable, all those frequencies and everything, and they're unhearable by our physical senses, but they're there. The sounds that it makes are there. The smells, the vibrations, the sight of the patterns that they make, they're there. And if you can use your spirit senses, you can detect them And that's one of the things that we learn how to do is to enhance our spirit senses and learn how to detect all these things. Well, when something is physically painted, colored red, like fire engine, lipstick red, it blocks certain subtle energies. It'll refract them, they'll bounce off of it. So without the color red, you lose quite a bit of efficiency. And when you think about that for a minute, just what frequencies, what kind of lines of energy are traveling where, when, how does this all come together and end up with this little tiny spiraling thing that creates the scalar wave? There's a lot of components in nature that come into it, and your bowl can't smell. You can't wash it with anything. No soap, nothing. Only, not even heavy water, just barely damp, if at all. That's only if the cat went in there and puked, and you really got to get it out. But all those things make a difference. And that's what makes the efficiency of the broadcast for the bowl. It makes it so astounding. And then, to this day, I'm still in utter awe at how you can combine all these things together. I've even seen nature walk pictures where they had a great big boulder and there was one or two holes that looked just like this size, and very, very well, perfectly edged on the inside. And they don't know what it was for. The toolbars, the substances they can scrape off microscopically off of these the walls of a bowl like that, and they get it in their machinery. They could tell what materials were in there, and there's nothing, just rainwater, a little dust. They weren't used for anything. The ones outside, the ones inside, and I don't know if anybody has done any experiments on the ones I saw in Egypt, but I've seen this in other places from around the world, that these people had this technology before. It's just been revived.
Great. One addition to that, it can't just be any red. I mean, you can't just splatter any red color on there. We've done, the whole bowl. How long did you work? How many years did you work to get where it is today?
Where it is today. Whoa. I think we had moved into this house and we were still upgrading, testing for wood, for paint, for wood sealers. You can't use most wood sealers on this. That's why you don't want to try to wash it, because you could damage the finish on the outside, and you don't want to do that. That'll reduce efficiency.
So that will be about a decade.
At least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Kay.
Can I add one thing to it? You also don't want your bowl in direct sunlight. You want to make sure it does not receive direct sunlight. I have a couple bowls that I purchased from someone that had them in direct sunlight, and definitely the colors will go away.
Yeah, it can't withstand that. Or close to a heater. You don't want it close to the fireplace. You don't want it close to a heater. You don't want it close to the refrigerator, or even a big TV set or something like that, where they can get warm, where they're putting out these different radiations that interfere with the broadcast or can even damage the bowl. So, yes, good point.
And fragrance. I had I had to heal a bowl with another bowl that a client who she had her own bowl and used those fragrant air fresheners in her house, and her clothing had fragrance, and she was just learning that how poisonous all of that was, but the bowl absorbed it. And so
It would.
therefore the bowl was then broadcasting it. It took about a year to heal that bowl, but it worked. I used one bowl. I used it to heal itself, but I needed another bowl to also target that bowl to get it healed. But it worked.
It works. Sometimes it takes a long time. Yeah, especially with something like those scents. People don't realize how incredibly lethal, destructive, nerve damaging. They damage the brain, they damage the nerve system, their nerve toxins, all these things that people are using in their laundry, in the house, smelling. They think they're doing something good. No, it's horrible, horrible.
And
Took
luckily
me-
you have a coherence program for just that situation.
And it helps. It works a little faster. Yeah, I was desperate. I had, this gorgeous leather coat that had been given to me that was full of that smell. And I couldn't go near it because it made me sick, physically sick, just to whiff it once up my nose. So we had it hidden off in a part of the house that doesn't, get entered or seen or anything. And it was just hanging on a hanger. And I had it in the bowl, like you had yours, your bowl in the bowl. I had my coat in the bowl. And it was there for over a year before it would give up its smell. They're designed to never give up the smell. That's what those scented products are there for. They're designed to never go away. Gets in the walls, the furniture, everything. In your body. It's going in your brain, going in your eyes, ruining everything. Scary.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. Thank you, guys. Next question is from Annemieke. Hi, Annemieke. In session 2, Kay is talking about the concept, what's wrong in the body. You broadcast to that its exact self with the same frequencies, but also that you add to the field the reverse. What is right? What is the right thing? Broadcast the same energies of the reverse?
Okay, I'll try to explain that again. Let's just imagine that these two things are the same. They're exact. This one's the problem. It's in your body. Call this the body, the target. And it's got XYZ problem. And this is XYZ. This one is already radiating out its XYZ qualities. Its persona is XYZ, and it's going out there in every direction. And this is XYZ. It's radiating the exact same things. It's the two exact frequencies. So when the bowl gets to work, it is targeting the body, and it's targeting the XYZ in the body. So it goes straight to it, instantaneously, goes straight to it. And when these two come together, they're like the two electronically created frequencies that are exactly the same. They're headed in opposite directions, which means their pattern their wave pattern. When they touch into each other, that wave pattern cancels out. It cancels it out. So they both disappear into subspace. And I do mean disappear. Every material component of them is broken apart and goes into subspace, becomes energy that's holding information. And that's it. It's gone. Sometimes with the radionics, with our red doors, this happens instantly and you can feel it. It's like, wow. Yeah, that massive headache and everything. As soon as I dropped it in there, I could just feel it dissipating and disappearing, and now it's gone. And other things like my coat and Laura's stinky bowl, those things are so tenacious that it has to keep broadcasting. It has to keep eating away at it and making this smaller and smaller and smaller until it's completely gone. I hope that's understandable. We don't have anything in our normal education that that I can use as a metaphor. And so these kind of concepts are really, really new to some people. It's kind of hard to grasp at first. But we make it disappear into subspace. Subspace contains all this energy, this very, 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 very active energy. Subspace is stuffed full of it. And when we get these to aim at each other, hit each other, and they're a perfect match, they'll just poof, they're gone. And subspace, this is outside of time and space. So there's always room. There's always room for more. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about some kind of side effect or something else bouncing back, or it's only going to be there for a minute and then it has to bounce back. No, it's not that kind of a thing. This goes down to the heart of all creation. How things are created in our physical world, how they manifest. And this bumps into itself and it disappears and they're gone. So that's gone. But something else might want to be born, and it might want to just come back and just blossom into physicalness, attract material, atoms, and energy and more information, and become a material thing. And we use this in the healing. That's why this is how in the bowl, if you put in something like magnesium in the bowl, and you want the body to get more magnesium and really assimilate it and not be spitting it out all the time, you want some real assimilation. This is how it happens. It manifests at the target. It's popping out of subspace. It is becoming what the instructions say. Here's the magnesium. And it goes straight into the target. And if your statement talks about absorbing, utilizing, and utilizing 100%, and all those kinds of phrases with a big thank you, of course. And then it happens. The magnesium is created inside the target in your body. You have subspace in your body, so you can just bubble this up, create it instantaneously. This is the magic of the bowl. So when we say it's magic, it is. It's also quantum physics, but we kind of like the term magic. It's a lot more fun.
Okay, follow-up question, just to clarify from Annemieke. What is XYZ?
Any problem, anything that is not wanted. It's just a way that it's part of our alphabet. It's the last letters of our alphabet, and people just say that to fill up the space, meaning this stuff, this junk, this poison.
And she writes, but also the reverse energies you are adding to the coherence field. I don't think that is clear.
I'm not sure what that means, but
You just broadcast the same energies, not the reverse.
it's the same energies. That's why you want to take, say, this is my body. This is the target, and I just ate some really bad poisonous fish. It's spoiled or some food poisoning, and I'm feeling really bad. And so I saved a piece of that fish. I did not clean the dishes. So yeah, I got too sick. I couldn't clean the dishes. Sorry. So I got some of the stuff. I scraped it off the plate. It was a little teeny bit, but that's okay. That's enough. It's the exact same frequency of what's making me sick. That's the XYZ. The XYZ is the bad poisoned fish, and this is some of the same, the bad poisoned fish. So you put it in the bowl and you want to antidote. I don't know how that translates into German or these or other foreign words, but you want to clear it out. You want to, when in English, the word antidote means change every aspect of what's happening to you that is bad, that's making bad symptoms because of that poison. Change it to being good, gone, so that you don't have the problem anymore. It's like the Epip Pin. Everybody knows what an Epip Pin is. I hope that translates into the foreigners who are listening. You got a hold of some pollen or a food or something that you cannot tolerate whatsoever. You're going into shock and you're getting really, really, really sick. And if this is a regular problem for you, you carry that Epip Pin. And so hopefully somebody grabs the Epip Pin and stabs it into you and shoots you full of what it's got. That is an antidote. That's going to make all this the poisoning symptoms that are suffocating you at the moment, that's going to make them disappear. It's an antidote. So when we are...
Hang on a second. Hold those up. Hold those two vials up. Just to clarify for Annemieke, one of those vials represents the bad fish that's in Kay's body.
That's in my body. That's in my body. This one represents the bad fish that came off the plate. So the one in my body is making me super sick. And maybe it's something that I need an Epip Pin for, to get a shot so that I don't suffocate. Because if you're having that bad of a reaction, somebody can suffocate and die right there before you can do much of anything. That's why people carry the Epip Pin with them. And don't stop carrying an Epip Pin. But if it isn't quite that bad, you can run to your bowl and you can take the stuff from the plate, put it in the bowl, and get it broadcasting to each other so that they just cancel out. They disappear out of your body. the entire problem, everything that's causing the problem, which is almost always multiple systems. Multiple systems are being affected. So if you clear every speck of the substance out, it's gone. And those problems resolve themselves. Your body heals everything up really fast. It goes, oh, thank goodness, thank goodness. And now I can do this and that and go pee and scoop this stuff out and poop it out and make them throw up and get it all out. So I hope that is understandable. If
Okay.
it's not, write another question.
Okay, thank you. Rita, hi Rita. I guess we answered the question about color and why the color red. We went there. Belinda, hi. Yes, all 5 sessions will be available. And I actually made a playlist on YouTube and I will share the link to the playlist. So it's real easy to find. And Ricky, so if I would carve a bowl out of solid wood with the exact dimension, would it also work?
It is a extremely difficult shape to carve in any material. Wax, clay, wood, stone. I have personally tried it all. You see the ladies behind me? This is plaster. Those are, it's part of my graduate thesis to be displayed in the university museum at the time of graduation. I have carved everything. This shape is just really, really, really hard to get in any medium and have it stay where it needs to stay. So doing it by hand, it might be a beautiful carving experience and you might have a lot of fun, but you might not get it accurate enough to be able to hold the frequency, but you never know. So it's if you want to do that, it's worth a try. We looked quite a time before finding the artisan that could make these wood bowls. And she still's the one that makes them. And I know someday she will pass away. It might be before me. I don't know. Nobody knows. And we'll have to find somebody else. And that's going to be a challenge to get somebody that can reproduce the whole thing. But it's
We'll
been done
manage.
through. We'll manage. It's been done through history, and once, way back in the beginning, my friend Dorothy and I, she had a lot of money. I didn't have any. And so she funded the project, but we just absolutely had to do it. We had to find somebody to make it in red granite and stone. Granite is one of the hardest stones. It's close to hardness to diamonds. And it's made of crystals, so it's hard to carve because it breaks into little bits a lot of times, right when you don't want it to. And we found a guy who was willing to do it. And it took him a long time. The bowl was close enough. It works. The bowl works. And well, that is not practical for us to try to do any more in stone. Not at all. Not at today's prices. No, it's very, very difficult. Yeah.
One thought that came to mind when I read this question is I could build a computer probably if I put my mind to it. But would I? Or would I rather get an Apple computer and have it all work and hum like really nicely without any problems? So But thank you for the question. I'm sure a lot of people have that question, and thank you, Kay, for answering. Okay, here's Joanne. Hello, Joanne. And Aya, when using the bowl, do you have to keep it away from magnets or any specific materials while working with it? Hi, Aya. Thanks for your question. And before you guys answer that, um, anybody who has more questions, please put them in the chat. We go as long as there are questions. And if there aren't any, we're going to finish the session. All right. Who wants to take this one?
I can start it, and Flora wants to kick in. When it comes to putting stuff in the bowl, we often use like a silicone spatula because taking things in and out, we don't want to get stuff, well, the walls scratched up, or we don't want to get our DNA in there as best we can. And so that's one thing. Kay says she puts in a little jar and she puts it right in the middle. And I do those as well, or little, they're actually essential oil containers, but there is no essential oils. I don't use any essential oils close to my bowl, as they're, in my opinion, toxic. They're just too concentrated for what we would use in the red door. As far as magnets on the outside, if it's close to it, I haven't tested it. Have you, Laura? I haven't checked to see. I mean, when I look at the energy of the bowl, to me, it appears like raising dough, but I can see the energy move, and it looks, there's, it's kind of hard to describe it, but it does look like kind of raising dough to me. And everybody might perceive it differently. But I haven't tried it with a magnet. Have you? Have you had a magnet close to it?
You know what? I can kind of feel, and again, I'll pass yet again to Kay. I can feel like if there was at one time there was a magnet on my desk when the bowls were on my desk and I was using it, and I could feel a disturbance in the force with that magnet kind of drawing and doing. But I also felt the magnet on my body drawing and doing. And I'm not a big fan of having magnets close to me. I don't really like batteries close to me either. And so I can, you could feel it. And so it's always been my practice, these bowls reach far. And so my magnets are on my refrigerator with my grandkids' pictures. That's where they are in my house. I don't have a whole lot around, but I did notice that one time we're packing. And so all the refrigerator magnets were on my desk getting ready to go box. And I was using the bowl, and, there was definitely a disturbance in the force. So I wouldn't, you might get some wonky stuff going on. Kay, I'll pass to you.
Don't put them in the bowl.
Yeah.
They will disrupt the energy flows and patterns to a large degree. So they're not going to pull anything out of your body or anything like that. They don't increase it. They don't enhance anything. Having them nearby could be disruptive. Depends on how strong they are or how many you have. I wouldn't want an industrial magnet anywhere near it. That would be, those guys are really, really strong. One of the things that I do put in that I don't have an example of right here, but they're little. They're about this big, and that's a Hertzimer crystal, a Hertzimer diamond crystal, or some other quartz crystal that is unusually strong and clear and able to hold the information, the energies. And one thing that a really good crystal does is it amplifies the energies and information. That's what they're used for a lot in ceremony or in ancient healing practices. This is to direct and amplify and collect, draw energy to it, to collect and send into the target. And So some of those work. They don't always work. Well, you have to ask the bowl every time. Would this help? Do I need to? Would I do it? Will it disrupt? Because it could be disrupting some of the programs. You never know how some of these things are what kind of complicated patterns and harmonies and symphonies that they are sending out into the target. You don't want to disrupt any of it, change any of those beautiful energies.
Great question.
And metal often does that. If I use something like glass jar, I prefer having a plastic lid. And the little glass vials like this, all the lids are plastic, and some of them have a real special inside. The innards make it so it can't drip. And so that's a lot better if you're working with any kind of liquids. And like Lora mentioned, essential oils are very popular right now, and everybody is like, oh, how nice they are. They aren't. They're way too strong, and they're toxic because they are too strong. So I don't use them on my body. I don't use them for hardly anything, ever. And certainly don't use them in the bowl. Never, never, never in the bowl.
Okay, thank you guys. Joanne has a question about how long will the jump offer be available? You want to chime in?
I was about to say, for as long as we can. How about that? Materials do, there's a lot going on in the global economy world and with resources and stuff. And so, we can't guarantee how long it will last, but it should be up for a while. I mean, our plan is we love this beginner package. It's such a great way of getting people started. So I'm guessing our wood resources won't, we won't, a lot of the things that affect the pricing in the global economy won't change anytime soon. Is that accurate, Helmut?
Partially.
Yeah. We're hoping it'll have a good stint. How about that? We just can't guarantee how long it'll last.
Yeah, it'll be up for a little bit, definitely,
Yeah.
at this level. But it's such an incredible deal. And I put the QR code up, and I thought I made the link to the jumping offer, but I guess I forgot. Never mind. So the code is it. Anyway, it'll be up for a little bit, but we always, if something comes up that we want to add, then we have to consider if we can keep it at that price. And something can come up easily, because at the rate Kate develops things these days, and then inflation, prices are not staying the same, as you probably have noticed when you go to the grocery store. So, and I don't want to get into that any further. But anyway, if you want the jumping offer, if you do not have the red door yet and everything that comes with it in the jumping, contact Lora Keddy at gmail.com.
This Lora.
Yeah, this Lora, that Lora.
You can contact the other Lora, but she'll send you my way.
I'm going to leave the QR code up for a little bit. Thanks for the question, Joanne. And next one, can you smudge the bowl with sage? That's also from Joanne.
Lora?
Well, it doesn't need to be smudged because it clears everything around it. If you really want to clear your bowls, just take everything out of it and have it open. And I would cautious if you leave it for a really long time, like my son. If I forget to put something in a bowl, it doesn't take very long. He just starts jumping up and down and isming and just running side to side. It just affects his energy enough that it revs him up. It's chaotic to him. So
Yeah, your house is very okay. So here's a little bit more. I was like that in I just moved. And after years of bowl working in the same place and cleaning, clearing, my bowl, I couldn't, like Laura was saying, I couldn't have open and empty very long because it was so clear. I've moved. I've got a new area I'm living in, and I left the bowl open for a day, which I've never been able to do. I forgot it was open, but there's not the clean and clear area to feed on. It was 24 hours before I noticed that kind of like, oh, I need to close the bowl and realize for the first time. And so when we leave a bowl, because the bowls are self-clearing, I wouldn't recommend smudging them. You just don't need to. They are the smudge. They are the smudge. And but when douse for the first time and set a timer of how long you should leave a bowl open, because it's going to be different. And I mean, and truly, if you have one bowl and you're getting started, you're always going to want something in it. Leaving it open to clear won't take very long. Your homes, what you would call a very haunted home, old and creepy and lots of antiques and negative thought forms from generations living there. I think it took me 3 hours to clear the home with a bowl that had never been cleared before. And so, douse, set a timer. It's a great way of using the bowl. I think I mentioned in one of the broadcasts, Thanksgiving, I open a bowl. If Thanksgiving's at my house, family gatherings, and I can leave that bowl open. I know my family's probably listening, but I can leave that bowl open for a long time, especially when the politics get going.
it'll depend on where you live too. I mean, if you live by a big old apartment building or a church or a big school, she hears Helmut. She hears Helmut, and boy, she loves him.
Hi, sweetie.
Anyway, just want to share that part.
Great question.
Okay, yeah, thank you. And while we are at the office, let's put in the circle mentorship. Laura and Lora will start a mentorship program in June for people who already have the Red Door and the Jumping Offer and the Quick Start program, and support you on your journey to get very proficient with the Red Door healing. So let me put up the QR code for that too. That's here. So if you want to join that, here's the thing. Okay, thank you. Annemieke, 2 water drops fell out of my nose and I dried it with a soft blanket. Will this have an effect?
That should be okay. That should be good.
Okay. And next question from Joanne. Is the bowl forgiving of beginner's mind? Does it still work while you're learning?
Laura?
Go ahead, Laura. I got a little motor going here.
Oh, the bowl is extremely forgiving. In fact, I swear it kind of knows when you need to step up your game, like you've been a newbie long enough, and there's something more going on there because you just learn more as you go. And it definitely, the things, I just remember how basic and the things I did in the beginning and where I am now, being able to be a practitioner who helps others with it. It definitely is. I mean, we well, us here on the screen push our bowls, and we put, I'll put things in and dabble things to like test things and push the limits. And so, every once in a while I'll push it to a point where, I'll douse for something, and it kind of gives me that. I don't know how to explain it. It's not a yes and no. It's like, go ahead and try this. I swear there's my spirit team sitting back like, let's see how this goes, and so we've pushed it, and sometimes given us, the what you'd call a detox flu too much, and taken them out. But in the beginning that never happened. It was like the waves in the bowl kind of just like slowed down and shut off. So I would only have like this amazing good experience with it. It does definitely, it just builds with your knowledge. I mean, the more you use it, just like the pendulum, the more experience you get it, you just start sensing things out of it. I do. I definitely, I have a very strong psychic sense of smell, and I'll smell the broadcasts. When I put when I put a target in, I can start smelling stuff coming out that I recognize from the body. And that the more and more I use the bowl, the stronger that awareness has come. That wasn't in the beginning. I've always had a really sensitive sense of smell, but the coming out of the bowl emerged. I've recently started hearing sounds. So it just, sorry, I got to move some water. My fuzzy being is right behind us. I'll pass it on before something happens.
All right. I hope that answers. Thank you. And next one from Ricky. What is the action radius of an open bowl? Could I affect my entire village with it? Great question.
Do we really know? I mean, those eagles came in Montana. They came from miles and miles and miles around to come check it out. So
Yes, they did. And the feeling of them energetically, they were very giving. They were very strong. They had an energy, a collective energy about them that was much stronger than single eagles in the wild, or even a little family that's up high on some tree. They passed over the town of Livingston on the way. So you know that it's affecting the town. And I think through time, I have seen the effects on different neighbors, on what is happening, like within a town area or beyond. Sometimes it gets a little difficult to tell whether it's that influence has spread even more over more and more states, not just the one I'm sitting in. But I think in their own energetic way, they are affecting everything all over the planet. When you think that they're mostly working in subspace, which has no time and no space. Space means nothing to subspace. It's just not affected by it. It's hard for us to wrap our mind around that. We think that, if it's going to be that much farther away, the signal's going to dwindle. It may not reach that far, and it doesn't work that way. it's hitting the whole area that is being intended to be affected. It's affecting it. So we do have a world program that we encourage. Where'd my world program go? Okay, that is the world program. This identifies the target completely, and it identifies what's going into the target, which means love and peace and healing and clearing poisons and reducing getting rid of violence, and all those kind of things. It's just 24 hours a day, every day, hitting the entire planet. And I know if you look at standard news, it doesn't look like that's happening. We're having more peace and more love and more awakening, but if you look in the right places, you see it. If you look in the right places and you feel out into the web, like we do with some of our other ceremonies. We do weaving ceremony that is a whole planetary effect, a whole web of the planet. And those ceremonies are very ancient. They're designed to heal the whole planet. And I see the effects, and many others see that remark about it. And you got to remember when the humans on this planet are being exposed to all these different kinds of information, and this waking up information and energies and the feelings and emotions of trying to get out of our cultural stupor, it happens for most people in little pieces, little steps they can handle without flipping out. And they get more and more awake, and it often happens with things that are real physical around them, like politics, and they're noticing inflation, and the economy, and all that kind of stuff that's going on. And these are just the little steps getting bigger all the time. They see more, they feel more, they understand more. They're getting more and more background to understand what's going on. So the human race is on the route for waking up entirely, spiritually, politically, economically, everything. So yes, I think the bowl has something that it has added to that progress.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for the question. And so, if nothing else, get the jumping offer to save your village.
You can make a target, the what we call the witness information, witness package. This looks pretty simple, but it holds all the information that you need for a witness package. You could do that for your village. You could create a package that would target your village or your country. And you always have to ask the pendulum, can I broadcast this? Can I broadcast that? Will this make a difference? All different questions you can think of. But you need permission.
Okay. Joanne, I think we answered that, or you answered that, Kay. So no essential oils near the bowl.
Could I add a little story?
Yeah.
I want to add a little story because since working with the Red Door and also studying Katasi, I've had some interesting experiences. One particular time I was outside, and I could see a big stretch of the sky, and I was talking to my sister, and this has happened to me a couple times now, and I don't know if it's the energy of the teachings or the energy of the bowl, but I'm out there and I see a stretch of sky that's and there's a little dot a long ways away, and an eagle will come, or another bird of prey or whatever, and come and fly over top of me, look at me, and then fly off. So they're sensing something that this never happened to me before until I started doing red door work and Katasi studies. I, so it affects what you think and how you and what you're learning, and the red door affects
Yeah.
you. It's just, and it's happened to me a couple times, and it's never happened to me before that. Those animals do come and check me out too. Like,
I have everywhere I've moved these bowls to, we would get all sorts of birds of prey to just fly over the house in that spot, or the little birds would all line up, right? I had it in a pantry before I had it here. They like that spot. But when we added coherence, that was even, I mean, they already love the bowls and fly. I mean, because this area now has, I have a window right in front of me, and have the bowls out, and the hummingbird will come and and try to get near the bowls that are on my desk. But when we started broadcasting the coherence, because I have a home, a property bowl that I broadcast, and it has the coherence programs in it to do other things. But when I added coherence into my property bowl, when my land came in coherence, it was almost like it was contagious. And the properties closest to me were affected first. Like we lived down a road where the neighbors didn't get along. Like Reg and my husband and I were like always the peacekeeper between neighbors. All of a sudden, neighbors started talking and working together who hadn't gotten along in decades. Like old family farms had never gotten along. Neighbors started cleaning up their properties. And then it went on down to the next neighbor, and I lived down this, 3/4 of a mile road, dead end road. And you could just feel each neighbor was changing. And it was the properties were getting cleared up. So there's also this. Oh, and I had a really cool day right after coherence, where a flock, a flock, 3 blue herrings together, circled me very low, going to the mailbox, and you'll see one, but they had flew over me, and they actually turned around and flew back to, and so you're in the bowl, exactly what Lora said, especially with these coherence programs, it's radiating through you, and you're radiating that out. We're becoming the good contagious. Your bodies will people, will want to start, like the 2 tuning rods, people want to radiate with your frequency now. And so it's just like this really super sneaky, beautiful magic, that you can offer a room full of people. All right. I love this subject.
Okay.
We've had the bird experience too. Down here, it's crows, and most of them are the size of ravens. I don't know what kind of species they are, but they're called crows down here. And yeah, they'll come over quite a bit, and they'll circle around, and yeah, they love the spot.
Okay. Get the bowl, save your village, or save the world.
Well, you can do all 3.
Okay. Let's see. Where was I? Joanne. Great question here. Is it the coherence that makes the red bowl different from other radionic methods/devices? There's a lot more to that. Who wants to take this one?
Okay, please.
The first one I'm thinking you don't need power.
Right,
That's a real big advantage, and I'm sure in the future we may have some periods of time where this not needing electricity to run your bowls is going to be key, very important. But is coherence the thing that makes the red bowl different? No, it does accentuate that difference tremendously and adds to the awakening effect that the earth is trying to create, and our atmosphere and the surrounding great field, the planets, the sun, the stars. We even have all these energies. I don't know who pays attention to science, astronomy kind of energy things, but there's these cosmic rays, cosmic wave energies coming from the center of our galaxy, maybe from beyond from other galaxies too. We can't pinpoint that just yet in a scientific way. But from the center of our galaxy, yeah, lots of it. And the average everyday cosmic rays that come in get blocked by the electromagnetic field that surrounds the Earth. The whole these belts of energy that protect and reflect those kind of harmful rays, because we get too much of those, they can be kind of damaging to life forms on Earth. But there's other kinds of cosmic rays and other kinds of energies and rays that are coming in waves, like cosmic size tsunamis coming in waves and saturating our planet and us and everything on it. And they're carrying unconditional love and all kinds of beauty and song energies and awakening energies. And these are things that are definitely helping humanity right now to wake up inch by inch. The switch has been turned on, and the bowl is a big part of that, of making the switch turn on in people and getting them to start to see and understand more and more and more. And it's everything about the bowl. It's the shape, it's the size, it's the color, it's the materials, and all those frequencies. All those things help build the exact frequencies that create the scalar wave inside the bowl, which is important because if it wasn't wood, it would be some other kind of material. Maybe somebody tried clay or something like that, and that is being, that clay energy goes into the mix. Those frequencies of what clay that is and what magic it can do, medicines it can do, it's all part of the mix. So every little component of that, of what the bowl is contributing in a huge way to this spiritual, this awakening, this brightening of consciousness. And literally, the ancients used to call this, this waking up, starting to wake up, because we've been in a stupor, a cultural stupor, and just blinding ourselves to so much stuff, and getting very self-oriented and not connecting and noticing anything. So when we wake up, all of that blindness is being taken away, and it's taken away just enough at a time so that you don't get overwhelmed. But you wake up and The bowls do that all by themselves, but with the coherence programs, it's so much stronger and so much more focused as to what these waking up experiences are and what the humans need in order to wake up, and helping the physical body. You know, we think, oh, it's just your physical body. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you eat or what you have on your body or what you're surrounded with. It's all the same. No, it makes a huge difference. In our modern culture, what we are collecting around us and in our body is doing a huge job of keeping us asleep. And the bowl does the opposite. It helps us wake up. And our culture, our whole humanity needs to wake up and fast. It's really, really important. These are the times the ancients talked about this time in our timeline and in our space and in our culture. This is the time. And I'm so thankful for the bowls and their effects, and I'm always learning more about them every day. And they're so astounding. So that's what the bowl offers. That's what coherence offers. It's going to help in immediate things and things that are people are worried about with immediate problems with their body, you know, and with their food and what they're eating, and then this problem and that problem, and the bowl handles all of it, the whole range, from very mundane everyday to very big spiritual awakening, everything in between.
Beautiful. Thank you. You ladies have any other thought to that?
I want one. Another one.
Get in touch with Lora.
I'm just so grateful I found my way here. I just, what Kay said, all of that. That has been my experience.
Me too.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Kay. Thank you for the question, Joanne. And we have Brigitte, I think, in relation to, or Ricky, in relation to the antidoting. Would it be enough to just put the wasp sting into the bowl, even without a statement?
I wouldn't do that. You may end up broadcasting the poison to yourself. When in doubt, statement. You know, really add the statement, be clear and thoughtful of why that's in the bowl. I've made that mistake. I've just, I wanted to antidote and not broadcast. And I put something in the bowl, but the statement didn't go in with it. It was still sitting on my desk, and that's that. Will the bowl work with you in the beginning? Yes. All of a sudden it'll be shut off. But there's some kind of knowledge there. As you get better at it, it let me know right away that I forgot something. It was a slow progression, but I wasn't feeling so good. So yeah, I would. That's mine. I think there's rates in there that mean clear and eliminate numbers, or what we call the rates. I still always write on the statement, clear and eliminate, disappear. And not just that. I just want to be uber safe. You know, there's sometimes when I play around with my own body, but definitely when I'm working on other people, I want to be very clear. So I don't put anything in without even the broadcast stuff. You know, I know people will put vitamins in a dish and just, you know, so at broadcast, I'll always still put broadcast, you know, the healing properties of these supplements. Lora?
I do the same thing. Whenever I use one of those reagents, I always write a statement. and very much my intent. Now, there's been times that I haven't been home and I needed something in the bowl. But that's a whole different story. I mean, that's later on. As you get good at the red door, you'll realize you can put thought forms into the bowl even when you're not sitting right next to it.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. I'd like to add to that. Yeah, that works. You got to remember that the bowl is operating on your intent. It's sitting there making a scalar wave, and if you aren't putting it to use, you don't have anything in it. It's not broadcasting anything to anybody. It's cleaning your space and the space for who knows how far out, which is great. But if you want it to do a specific job, your mind, your intent, your focus has to be clear. And if that focus is there, that intent is there, you might get away with just dropping that stinger in, and you're thinking clear, clear the poison, clear the sting, clear, clear, clear. And then you can walk away. But for safety's sake, and just to back up your, it's like backing up a bank account or something. You just want to be, completely safe and get the best of the best out of the bowl. So write those few words. Even if you're in a real pinch for time, if you keep, your Post-it pads, if you keep them on hand right by your bowl, so you can just rip one off and write down clear, or with the one or two words you may really want, and put in that bowl, especially something like antidote, clear out of the body, disappear, and then go about your business. Your intent has been put into the paper, and you've developed it more because you have to write it on that paper and get it in. It's in the bowl, and that part of the machine is running, going. And with the words in there, you can go away, and you could be gone for a couple of days or whatever, and it's still going exactly as you put it in there. Unless for some reason the bowl detects it would do harm, and then it stops. It takes it out. It might take just that one RAID out, that one program, or it may stop the whole bowl. I've had both happen. And I love that you brought up that you you brought something from a distance into the bowl. Remember, the subspace and the fields of the bowl don't understand time and space. They don't care about that. It doesn't mean anything to them. And so let's say that, you've taken a little vacation, you're in the next state. You can't get back to that bowl very quick. And you realize, ooh, I really need this particular rate. Maybe you have a stomach ache, or you twisted your ankle, or something like that. Or it's somebody else. You get information from somebody else that they have a bad problem, and you've got a bowl for them going. You could be putting, messages and rates in the bowl if you were home. Well, you could do it if you're far away. You just get very peaceful, very clear, very still, very focused, and you see it like you're writing it on a piece of paper. You see it in their body, you see it going into the bowl. You dropped it in, and you asked the bowl to broadcast this to that person, and that whatever it was you did will be in there in broadcasting. And I've done that many times. I've had a bowl here in the States, and I've been in Europe. That's far away. And in other places, and needed to make an adjustment. maybe the grandkids went to visit the grandkids, and oh no, so this little one has the flu. She's puking all over everything. And you want to put something in the bowl for that? You can think it, but you need to be clear, simple, precise, and picture the action. Say the words out loud if you have to, but you definitely want to say them in your head. You're putting that program in the bowl. It's in the bowl. Okay, bowl, broadcast thus and such to this person. And it works.
Cool.
It's not hard. It's not hard at all. Do it a couple of times. Got it.
When I first started doing that, I would actually write it on a Post-it note. I'd actually write it on, and then I would get my attention. And I always put my witness packet on the top in the bowl, each bowl, so I know who I'm working with. And I also, whenever I go by them, I'll put some healing intent into each one of them. But so I can actually picture and feel the connection in the witness packet in the bowl. And so when I first started, I would have that piece of paper, and I would actually do it that way and say it out loud too. So.
Brilliant. Good. It works.
Most of the time, I just write a statement.
Great stuff. You people are amazing. Beautiful. Thank you for the question, Ricky. And I wanted to add that, and Kay alluded to it a little bit, she touched on it just briefly. There is a program that comes with every broadcast when you set up the witness package. There's what's called a broadcasting card. And part of its purpose is to stop the bowl from broadcasting harmful things. So that also touches on Joanne's earlier question about if it is forgiving for beginners. Yes, it is. Okay, moving on. Thank you for all your great questions. It's so exciting. And we have Lorraine. Hi, Lorraine. Kay, can you give a summary of your health journey, types of diseases that motivated you to research the red door? What were some issues you have been dealing with in your body, and have you healed?
How many hours do we have?
That's going to be a long session.
Well, when I started, the person who turned me on to radionics, this is way before I made the bowl, but this is the very first radionics experience. I really wanted to be in the class, but I was so broke that I couldn't even pay the teacher to be in her classes. And this was the Egyptian teacher, the one who taught me the Egyptian lineage. So I gave her bronze sculptures for every class. It turned out to, that was my bank account, was all the sculptures I had made through college. So she somehow had taught this radionics teacher, and she loved it. She bought a machine, and she's just so excited about it. She wanted all her students to take the class and learn about this stuff. She thought it was a really good match for the two different technologies and concepts and stuff. And I didn't have a penny, of course, at that time. I'm fresh out of college, and so I traded something. I can't even remember what it was, but that was with the radionics teacher, and they let me borrow a machine because I had no money to buy the machine. That's usually what people do. They buy the machine, they get the course. So my friend Dorothy and I were both taking the class together, and a bunch of all the rest of the students were there, and it was great. It's a multiple day class, and I learned all the things that I needed to learn, got to play with it, and then after the class, of course, Dorothy, being a person that had a great deal more wealth than I did at the time, and we were good friends. She let me use her machine, play with her, and we talked radionics back and forth, and we investigated all kinds of things and developed programs. And I didn't have problems that I would have really considered problems. In my hindsight, I look back at it very low in energy, and I wore out very quickly. I wasn't able to do exercise. Couldn't keep that up. I had some problems starting with my back. Wasn't too bad at that time, but mostly I was inspired with the combination, the comparisons between radionics theory, scalar waves, and with the ancient teachings and all of their kinds of energy teachings and their sacred objects and the altars that they built, because that's a kind of technology in itself, and it's based a lot on geometry, but ultimately they involve intent and focus and gaining more consciousness, better concentration, better ability, understanding greater and greater things, that kind of stuff. I wanted to be able to create something that I'd be able to do a broadcast with that wasn't going to cost me hardly any money, because I also had was little odd jobs at the time, and so my kids were grown; they were both gone. I wasn't having to pay for kids or college or expensive roof over my head or anything like that. So I was just squeezing by hand to mouth, and I really wanted to be able to help people with being able to broadcast and create programs and stuff. So I started putting those pieces together at that time, right after that class, seeing those compatibilities between the two traditions. And little by little, it kind of formed into, well, I can make an altar this big. I wonder if I can make a desktop altar that's this big, and it'll fit on my desk, because I barely had room in my apartment to create a 3-foot circle on the floor. It wasn't quite 3 feet. There wasn't that much space to walk around. So it's a little teeny space. So it's, just one thing led to another. I tried all kinds of different things, and it just all came together with a lot of experimentation. And not too long after we were married, I had my first really bad attack on my back, and I couldn't move. It's just utter excruciating pain.
Fun times.
Helmut had to carry me everywhere, and that was even painful. If I didn't have to go to the bathroom so bad, I wouldn't have let him carry me anywhere. And it came in waves. I could be in bed for weeks at a time, and then would slowly get better. I could be up. I was actually teaching some of my students from my bed. Um, they were both doctors. I figured that, they've seen it all. Uh, they shouldn't mind that I'm still in bed. I'm laying in bed and can't get out. Uh, so they were very good as I was teaching them the ancient healings and the bowl stuff. They would do healings on me. They'd have me in their bowls, and it was a good trade. So it took quite a while to get out of that. I don't even know how many years would that be, 15, 20 years, or
You mean what?
the back going in. I
Um,
don't know if it was going out or whatever it was. I was immobilized and in huge pain. And that I really wanted to develop more with the bowls and use the bowls more and use them on me. And I would even find a way to do that in bed. I had to be laying down flat, even without a pillow, just flat. And so we had these small tables that raised up and down, and they were designed to be something the store would use to do inventory. So part of the tabletop tilted, and you could screw the back so that the tilt would stay. You had a flat spot and a tilted spot, and it would roll over like hospital bed. It would roll over the bed. So I'd be laying towards the edge of the bed and be flat, and he would strap my computer to the table because it was turned at such an angle, and then I could actually type and do radionic stuff while I was in bed, which I did. I would not let it go. So I kept doing more programs for me, trying more things and experimenting. And we're still experimenting with the bowl at that time. The bowl hadn't been truly finalized. We're trying different kinds of materials and substances and all that.
just to clarify, it didn't take you 15 years to get mobile again. Because you mentioned 15 years, so I just wanted to be clear about that.
Okay. I was able to affect whatever it was that was happening to me. I did not want to go to a regular doctor. I refused to do that. We didn't have a chiropractor at the time, so I didn't have any kind of alternative doctor. But there would be these periods where I'd be fine. I'd be able to, sit up and walk by myself and get around and do stuff. I couldn't bend over without triggering that response. And I couldn't sit in a lounge chair without triggering that response. I just had to be really careful. But then I don't even know what would trigger a response. It just would happen, and then there I'd be in bed again. I got to a point where it was hard to move, painful, but I could walk myself to the bathroom, and I could sit up for a period of time. Then I'd have to lay back down, and it just got a little bit better as I found more and more of the right things to be broadcasting to. That's where the discovering what your target is. You might know that it's Jane, and Jane's whole body is, you got the picture and you got her signature, and you know, gone through all the steps. but you might need something more detailed. There might be something going on, like with me, could have been the spine, it could have been the nervous system, could have been connective tissue, could have been torn or broken tissues or bones or a bone spur, or it could have been all kinds of different things or combination of things. But that's why you want to go into detail with the lists that they were showing you the last few days, the anatomy list and the list of possible uh, poisons or diseases that you might end up having. And you go into that category, you may need to go farther into that category and dig a little bit deeper, get more specific. If the problem doesn't resolve with a more general kind of a statement or rate, and you might want to take pictures of the area. We've talked about that, and it might be kind of nebulous, like, well, from here to here, it hurts the worst. On from here to here on my back, I couldn't tell you because it was just so encompassing and so debilitating. And the bowl does not work really well on clients, patients that are taking some kind of opiate or super strong painkillers, mind-altering substances. If they're on heroin or any of that other kind of stuff, those things block the signal tremendously. It's very hard to get through. Even if they're giving you permission, you have permission to broadcast, having the signals go all the way through and be able to be effective. Yeah, if you're taking in any of those kind of things, it'll block it. So because of that, and because of my promise to the Hedicas, my teachers, I would not take any kind of pain pills at all. Every once in a great while, I might take an aspirin, but that didn't feel very good either. That upset my stomach. So I tried not to do that. So as I studied all these things, I realized one thing at a time, I realized, oh, the food I'm eating is a problem. And it has to be changed somehow. And I'm reacting to some of these food substances, and that's at least part of my problem. And then after a while, there's something wrong with the nerves. I kept going back to, well, it looks like the nerve is being pinched, or it's got poisoned, or something's making a huge amount of inflammation. And you just have to keep asking questions about it to find out what it is and why. And is it something that you need to stop in your life? Is there a particular cleaner that you're using that is, maybe you're cleaning the floors or the toilets with this stuff. Maybe you need to get it out of the house, never use it again. Hopefully never smell it or touch it again, because your body is reacting super bad to it, giving you a whole list of problems. So one by one, I was going through finding out what all of those things were. And we got cleaner and cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. And finally, I put all those different pieces together. One thing that I finally realized that it had an awful lot to do with every bit of food that I was eating. And I thought I was eating really, really good and clean, no sad foods, the standard American diet, fake food, junk food, veggie oils, wheats and sugars and milks and all that kind of stuff. It's all cleaned out. I was eating a lot of plants and meat. That was about it. And everything got narrower and narrower. Along with the pain in the back, the allergies were really bad when allergy season would come around. And I had no idea that a lot of that had to do with food, but it did. And food and substances that you have in your household. They may be chemicals that are in a piece of furniture, or the paint that was on the wall, or it could be maybe you're eating on some old dishes, and they might be really pretty, and maybe they were your grandmother's dishes and all that kind of stuff. But they might have chemicals in the paints, in the chemistry of those ceramics, and they're coming off in the food, and they're getting you. It could be literally, it could be anything, and that's why I always tell the students, I tell them, question everything. Don't assume. Don't think you know ahead of time. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't get fearful. Don't get angry, because that clouds up your mind. You don't stay focused. You won't be able to dowse correctly or anything.
Helmut, you're muted. Was that intentional?
Thank you. No, it was not. One thing that Kay hasn't mentioned is heavy metals. And we can't get any further into that because we're going to be here for another couple of hours. But that was a big part too.
That was a big part. I did go to the dentist in the middle of all of this, which was really hard to get in and out of the dentist's office, and really hard to get in and out of the dentist's chair, and didn't make any of that go any better. But at least I got all of the metal out of my mouth, and we got the metal tests, and we were taking them for quite a while with our detox program, and getting the metals out made a huge difference. And of course, I broadcast all of those metals. I kept the papers the dentist gave me. There's a whole list of different metals, how much you have of each one, and I found rates for everyone there were rates for. Put those in the bowl. Put the words in the bowl, and that made a big difference. That's as the more I got rid of all of those metals, the better I got. But it was all kinds of other things as well. It was the foods. It was the chemical products that people just standardly don't think anything of and have in their house, and they use all the time. Maybe even use on their face or on their toothpaste or you name it. And it could just wreak havoc on people who are sensitive to it. And I turned out to be really sensitive to it. So the worse I got, or the longer it went, the more I wanted to find out the right things to broadcast. What things could I broadcast? What could I put in the bowl to help, like a crystal and all those kinds of things? And yes, you can have more than one bowl broadcasting similar things to the same problem, or even the exact same things to the same problem, and it just accentuates the healing energies.
Okay. And we could go on, but let's leave it here. I put the jumping off up again in case you want to jump in. And remember, you contact Lora. You can, of course, contact both Loras, but when you do that, as Laura Ketty mentioned, everything is going to run through her. And that's lauraketty@gmail.com. And a quick reminder of the, let's see, where was I going? The mentorship program. Help with your outdoor work. If you already have the program, the jumping offer. And this mentorship comes with the jumping offer. So great stuff. It's very exciting that this is finally starting. Thank you, Loris. Okay, next question. Thank you, Kay. That was
Mhm.
and Lorene for the question and great story. And next one is Nancy. Hi, Nancy. Is it important to never put your hand in the bowl? I saw you putting in and taking out raids with your hands.
You don't want to smear your DNA around in there. Yeah, and you want to make sure whatever you put in the bowl isn't rough or pokey or has wet ink. You know, you don't want any of that. You just don't want things that stick. I tend to carefully grab pieces of paper with my hand. When it's my bowl, I don't care if my DNA is in there so much. But you know, we do. I have, you know, those microfiber cloths. We wipe. You know, I wipe and dust my bowl. You know, quite a bit. You know, every time I'm working with a new bowl or updating a bowl, I take all the papers out and I use the dry microfibers to wipe and clean out the areas. I've never used any moisture on mine. I've just done that. But when, you know, Kay's in the quick start talks about, like Laura had, using a plastic spatula, something very soft so you don't jab, you don't want to nick the wood. The inside's precious. What's ever in there, you're going to broadcast. And, you know, if you get your fingers, I mean, you're touching the papers, you're already putting them in. And so there's a little contact. You know, a real good DNA test would say, you know, you're guilty for putting papers in. You want to be very careful that you're not broadcasting your DNA, you know, to somebody else you're putting in the bowl. Do you want to add anything? Either of you two?
Well,
I'm
That's
sorry.
good.
Go ahead.
the energy field from your hand, your whole body's giving
Mm.
off energies, has a whole field around it that's very active and full of lots of juju. And that goes into the bowl. It will disrupt that bowl's energy pattern. And it takes it a minute or two to pull itself back together once you've taken your hand out. And I will, upon occasion, if I really need to, I will use my hand and take something out, put something in really quick. The energy doesn't disrupt it for that long, and it dissipates and disappears. It's flushed out. But the particles, dust particles, bug bodies, or even bug poop, if you've got a bug that was living above your bowl, it poops these little teensy drops. It could be, you know, white or brown or black. It depends on what the bugs are. But you don't want that in your bowl. You don't want to be broadcasting that.
Is that good, Nancy? Tell us if we were clear enough for you.
Okay. Now I lost my place. I'm in trouble. Here we are. Found it. Okay. Thank you for the question. Great stuff. Lora's and Kay. Next one, Annemieke. Pendulum is plastic with metal is inert, but everything has consciousness, so this pendulum also. How do you explain that? Do you have to cleanse the pendulum from time to time?
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The plastic is pretty inert. Metal is not so inert as plastic is. It will collect energies, and metals have a more of an electrical movement through their own body than plastic does, and they're very polarized. You can magnetize metal, so metal can collect information. That's why a pendulum whose thing, the weight, the ball, the end, the knob that's at the end, if that's metal, it can collect energy, especially if it's solid. The chain here is metal, but it's a chain, and it's a little bit like a piece of Faraday cage. It's just not going to allow things to collect there anywhere near as much as a solid piece of metal. And if you have metal that you're holding on to, that's a more solid piece of metal, but you're connecting like an electrical current. It's a much stronger connection that can transmit more energetic things that are not the quality that you want in your bowl. They're not the kind of energy frequency patterns that you want in your bowl. You'll be transmitting things that are copacetic to transmission of metal, and the bowl doesn't use that. It doesn't need that or want that. It's okay to have the metal chain because it's a lot closer to the inert plastic that we have. A lot of people have pendulums that are crystal. The weight is crystal, or what they're holding on to is a crystal. And crystals are very, very much active, very alive, full of all kinds of um, uh, if you want to Google up the molecular structure of crystals, and they're in a perfect geometrical structure, all latticed together over each other and next to each other, and they transmit and hold energies. That's why they're used for radios and computers and all that kind of stuff, because they can hold on to information endlessly until somebody knows how to get rid of them and gets rid of them. So that all that energy and data that they're holding on to in terms of the bowl and trying to create a signal to deliver the healing that you want, it's going to disrupt all that. It's going to get in the way. It's going to add to stuff. It'll add to your broadcast things from other times you've used that crystal. Crystals, all rocks, but crystals especially, are collecting huge amounts of information all the time. And a big solid chunk of metal will do that too. It'll collect energy for forever and information. Remember, energy and information always go together. So that's why we like the plastic. It just works so smoothly, and doesn't ever hiccup and give you strange readings. And we've investigated the phenomena of that for a long time, and yep, it's really there. You guys got something else?
No, that was great. I've never thought about that chain being a Faraday, like the Faraday. So that was. I like it when you answer these questions, Kay. I always learn so much more.
Always learning too.
I don't think I used the word that you're using for the plastic being so inert. They're not. It's not so as inert as plastic. It has a whole lot more ability as a metal to be collecting and conducting, especially conducting energies. So we used to use metal ones all the time. And yeah, we'd run into these problems all the time with it. And sometimes the bowl just is trying to tell you, stop using that metal pendulum. It tried to tell Dorothy for a long time. Dorothy's bowls it would just go dead. It would just stop. And she was using the metal pendulum over and over and over. And then finally got it. We haven't cleaned that metal pendulum for who knows how long. And it's spewing unwanted information and energies.
Okay, thank you. Great stuff. And another great question from Lorene. Energy healing is a broad term. Can someone define what is the red door bowl healing? Like connecting to universal healing energies? Please give your definition.
Were you waiting for us to answer, Kay?
Huh?
All right, she's being quiet. She's not jumping in on that one. And it's true. Energy healing is a very broad term, because we talk about the healing we do, in Katasi, the 7 levels of healing work. And I'm afraid I might not get it accurately because there's in both cases doing energy work with the body and then energy work with the bowl. With my body, I notice when I go to gather energy, I'm gathering whatever the person needs. Sometimes it's sun energy, sometimes it's it's scalar energy, sometimes it's element, the different so Kay, I might need you to tap in here because there's a lot of the unconditional love and life force and life energy. So I think I'm gonna, just for accuracy. Oh, Laura thinks she's got
No,
the answer.
I'm pointing at Kay.
Oh, you're pointing up.
Where is she? I don't know where she's at here.
I just, for accuracy's sake, I don't want, I'm going to tap out of that one. But to me, we use healing energy because for me, it has all the, depends on what the person's needs. I feel the different forms and definitely the scalar energy, but it's almost like that kind of morphs. I don't know. Is there a root of all energy? Okay.
I would say that is a possible yes. I don't know for absolute positive, but yes, I think there is. And our our sister reality. We have 3D time space here that we're in. And we have a sister reality, which is subspace. And it's it's like it's attached to us. It's very, very different, but it is absolutely necessary for our existence. And in some ways, it is the our words don't really hit this nail on the head. But if we want potential, if we want pre-form, if we want pre-energy, that's what subspace is full of. It's full of energy that is, it's not physical. And it's, we're so intertwined. In order to think about the two of them and try to examine these two different spaces and worlds, two different whole worlds, what they're like, we tend to say, okay, here is 3D time space, and there is subspace. It's over there somewhere. And that's not accurate. That's not true. Subspace is everywhere that 3D time space is. But it is the space, the space between material things. When you get down to subatomic particles, there is space between the particles. And you look around you here, there's space between the particles. You go into outer space, there's a lot of space between the particles. And that's where subspace is. We like to talk in terms of there's a barrier between 3D time space and subspace, but that's a barrier. When we 3D time space material people talk about a barrier, we're thinking about a membrane or a wall or a film, something that you can't penetrate past. It's not like that. So subspace is everywhere that we are, and it's everywhere that's out there that we think of as outside of ourselves. And subspace is full of energy. These little itsy bitsy, can't even barely measure them, so they're so tiny. The quantum physics, they talk about these quantities of energy that are so small. Right now they're called a Planck energy. That's named after a scientist. And these energies are just, they're just super high, containing so much energy. They're so active. They never stop. And they're everywhere. And this is in the void. This is in the vacuum. This is the quantum vacuum. This is the great field. And the energy, each little plank is holding information. And sometimes they're holding a little tiny something different that is like a pre-matter. That's it's just part of that bundle of information and energy. And they're coming from subspace, boing, into the 3D time space. And as they come over that border or through the wall, they're birthed and they're matter. They attract all the elements. The ancients, talk about these pre-elements of matter, and that's earth and water and fire and air and akasha. And it attracts all of that in accordance to its pattern and its information. And then it becomes whatever it was supposed to become because of its pattern and its frequencies and its energies. And then there you have a molecule. And sometimes things pop into 3D time space that are bigger, like a whole organ. And we deal with that with our hands-on healing, sending things away into subspace, or having Mother Earth take them away and dissipate them. And we bring things out, like maybe we're doing psychic surgery and trying to replace a liver. So we take the old one out, we get everything clean, and that goes into subspace and disappears into nothingness. We bring the pattern and the energy of the new liver and put it in place, get it all put back where it needs to be. And that pattern attracts all the elements, and it makes a new liver, blueprint and all, makes everything perfectly new. We can do the same thing with the bowl. We can do all the same things with the bowl, and we do. We're taking stuff out, we're cleaning stuff we don't even really know or understand what they are. If you want to slow down and ask the materials that are there, the spirits that are there, the spirit of that liver, what's happening? What is that stuff? What's that one? And they'll tell you. You could be in there for hours and asking these questions, and they'll just keep answering and tell you. You get the world's best education doing healings this way. You could do that with a bowl. You can do that with the hands-on healing. Or you could go a lot faster and not collect up quite as much of that information for yourself at the moment. Or you could ask them to share it with you later, like when you're asleep. Or something else like that. Or maybe you're going to be doing a ceremony. Say, oh, can we get together when I'm doing this ceremony and you can explain all this stuff to me? When I was first learning this, especially, but I'm still that way to this day. I'm inside somebody's body like that, whether I'm doing the bowl with the pendulum or I'm doing the hands-on healing, and talking to those body parts and the spirits, and what is this? What is this? What's it doing? What's it supposed to be doing? Oh no! Oh, look at what on earth happened there? Oh, that's a disaster area. How'd that happen? So I just couldn't not ask all those questions. I just had to know and understand. Like this one lady's liver I walked into, and it was like super, super fine paper, like the kind of some kind of Chinese paper years ago they used to have, that if you just touch it, it disintegrates, falls to pieces. Her whole liver was like that. All the tissues, the layers, and it was like going into an office that was disintegrated. Everything was just in pieces and just falling apart and super dry. And that's she was very dehydrated and malnourished, and her liver was in big trouble. And we had to proceed from there. But they will answer everything that you need or want. Even if you don't really need it, but you really want it, they'll answer. They'll tell you. They'll help you. And as far as this energy, what is this energy and where's it coming from? I think ultimately it is all coming from that storage in subspace. And this is the very same energy that people are talking about, having a technological device that taps into free energy of the void, of the vacuum, or that sometimes they use that word subspace, and then you have all this energy that's pouring into your house and is all you need and could power the whole planet and all that stuff. That's the same energy. It's all that same source. And it's coming through our sun, but as we're getting that energy that's coming, pouring out of the sunlight, into the sunlight, we're getting a whole lot of other frequencies and a lot of other information. It's that core basic energy with its information and its potential. But then the sun has added all this other goodies with it. And then you get it, on your body, or you're collecting it and giving it to somebody else. You broadcast that sunlight to somebody else with a bowl. You can channel it if you're doing a hands-on healing, or if it's coming from the earth or the galaxy, the center of the galaxy. In our traditions, we have a stream of energy that's coming from the center, the heart, the center of the earth up into our bodies, and then from the center, the heart of the sun into our bodies, center and heart of the galaxy into our bodies, and they're flowing like rivers, and we channel that. We just let it pour out of our hands and fill the who or what we're doing a healing on. You could do the same thing with a bowl. And it's all about the information, the instructions that you're giving it, your intent and your focus. Ultimately, I do think they are all coming from one place. And this energy store, this world, is what people, they're referring to. I just lost the words. Well, this is what people call the field, the great field, the field of consciousness, the field of attention, the field of awareness, the field of love, the field of higher consciousness. The list goes on and on and on. Different people have called it different things at different times. This is the field. It's all around us. It's in us. It carries information. It has recorded everything from history, everything you ever wanted to know about healing of human type bodies that are going to be worthwhile for us to know for our sake. That's all there. All that information is there. Some people have called it the Akashic Records. And that's accurate. That's accurate. And there's different ways to get your own focus in your mind into the Akashic Records to find out this information. And the protocols of the bowl lead you right there. The other interesting term that people call this is the womb of the universe. And it's in you and it's outside you and it's everywhere. But the womb of the universe is where everything gets birthed and everything returns. So I hope that answers your question about What are healing energies?
Beautiful.
I remember I had that same question when I was starting out. Okay, is this a different product than the energy that's running through the wall? Uh, are they the same thing? Are they something different? What is this? And it's worth exploring. These are things you have to feel in order to understand. You can't intellectually grasp the whole thing or see it right or categorize it right. If you were using just your linear mind, you're gonna miss it. You're gonna fly right by, and you'll miss the whole party. You have to feel with your body, with your physical senses, and with your spirit senses. That's what it's all about.
And now you all know what we do for fun. Thank you, Kate. That was beautiful. Thanks for the question, Lorraine.
Beautiful question.
Key, one from Aya. I'm probably mispronouncing your name, so I apologize. But is my right or left the same as the bowl sees it or mirrored opposites?
Laura P.
What exactly is the question? Say it again.
Is my right or left? Is my right or left the same as the bowl sees it or mirror opposites?
So like if she wants to work on her right foot.
Oh,
Yes.
I would just take a picture of your foot. Or, well, you can also, it's just your intent. If you write like left on your piece of paper, or whatever maybe you have an anatomy picture that's like a drawing and you want to work on a specific joint or a tendon or, inflammation, you're just going to write out your statement and specify left or right. And then you can bring it all the way down to the cells or the muscle or the inflammation. I mean,
Yeah.
be more specific. And the bowl's not going. If you put a picture of your left foot in, it's going to know it's your left foot because it has a signature of your left foot, and you have your intention of your left foot.
Yeah, and I think that's the intentions there. So if you want, it does know the short of the long is yes. It knows if you intend your right hand and right hand, it'll go to the right hand. If you intend your left, it'll go to the left. It won't mirror it. I've noticed sometimes when I'm using a picture and dowsing, like the anatomy picture, and it shows me where in the body, if it's, if say it's in the issues in an arm in the illustration, that may be mirrored because of the way the illustration is. Like, even when the drawing is, the liver's on. So I always go to find where the liver is. And then I know whether that's right or left on the body. That would be the only time when you're dowsing on a photo. But when you go with an intent in the bowl, right or left, you guys are on the same, the bowl and you will be on the same track.
All right. I hope that answers that. We have a couple of thank yous. So thank you, Rita, and thank you, Belinda, for posting those thank yous. Then there's Annemieke. What is the difference between the quick start, which I did, and the jumping offer? The jumping offer is the new big package for the Red Door to get started with the Red Door, and quick start, the course, is part of that offer. I hope that answers that. Then Ricky has an interesting suggestion. What about starting a World Red Door Bread Bowl Day where we all open our bowls at the same time for a couple of hours?
Whoa.
I remember that multiple bowls are even stronger. I mean, empty and energy cleaning especially.
Could we do that, Kay? I guess we'd have to. I wouldn't take much.
It wouldn't take much, especially now. When I was starting out with the bowls, it would take hours. You could leave your bowl open and empty easily for hours in a space, even if there had been a lot of activity there or there's a lot of current activity there. You could just leave it open to suck up all the cooties as much as possible really fast. But through this time period, with all the different healings, weavings that we've done, the healings that we've done on people and with the bowls, the subspace is healing up. We, our culture, our humanity, have released atomic bombs and hydrogen bombs, a lot of them, and they disrupt subspace. We didn't know that at the time. I don't know if those scientists know that today. But the aliens sure do. That's why they're around where there's a lot of atomic things and there's explosions, and they're looking out for stuff and probably tinkering. I think they're helping to help eliminate the effect on subspace, because the disruption that the atomic explosions cause in subspace, they are hurting the ability for the aliens to travel in subspace, and they are hurting their communication abilities in subspace, because they have learned how to communicate instantaneously with others, even in another galaxy. They're in subspace, instantaneous communication, and they can travel that fast as well. But the capacity for them to be able to do that was hampered. They had to do a lot of stuff to be able to start that repair to help it, and we've been helping it on our side as with what we can do with our healing ways, with weaving ceremonies, and the use of the bowls. But the bowls use subspace to communicate instantaneously, because as we are sending things into that scalar wave, that information and energy into the wave, it travels to the target instantaneously. That's through subspace. It travels through subspace to get to the target. And it was doing things like changing the target, moving the target, or not hitting right at the target. They were like, skirting way off their target, and things would change in time. We'd send a broadcast. Instead of it getting there instantaneously, we'd see it show up in months. Months later, all of a sudden, here's the effect of the broadcast out of the blue. I may not even have those people in the bowl anymore. And there's the effect. So we had to arrange something. I created that broadcast card that Lora showed you. That's what we've been using all these years until really recently. I've created another one that is not quite as focused on trying to overcome the subspace problems with our broadcasts. And I found out later that other people with electrical machines were doing the same thing. They were doing what they could electrically to alter their signals in such a way that they could get through unhindered and unchanged and on time and in the way that it had been sent. So it was reaching its target and intact. So I wasn't the only one that was sensing these different problems. Sometimes subspace would be so like clogged, like so messed up that the signal wasn't even getting through. And we caused that damage. You can imagine what it must have done to some of these alien societies until they can manage to get it fixed enough. But it is well on its way to being wholly repaired, which is good to see. And the bowls work a lot nicer and stronger.
Okay. I didn't realize the two later questions that I showed were from Polly. Hi, Polly. And the question is, I remember that multiple bowls are even stronger. Kind of related to Ricky's question. I mean, when empty and energy cleaning especially.
Yep.
And yep, that's
We've had that
definitely true.
experience. We would take a bunch of bowls to class, and this is when all the classes were in person. And so there'd be like 20 people out there, and a lot of them very, very new. Some of them like would be a beginning class, it's their first time, and they're very, they're nervous and they're excited, and they tend to babble a lot in their minds, and their attention is going all over the place, and sometimes people come in with anger or with fear or some other kind of thing like that. And so we'd open all the bowls and leave them open, and until everybody in the room tested. I would be testing them sitting on the side of the room there, to see if they had calmed down and were able to get centered, and if the room was really clean, if the bowls needed to be shut. And usually we wouldn't even reach that point of feeling some kind of disturbance because all those bowls were open too long, and our psyche can't operate with it, getting that clean. So the bowl needs to be either filled with a program or covered. So yes, you add these together and they work really, really fast. Now we can leave one bowl open in our space, which is pretty clean, maybe 5 minutes at the most. Unless something, hinky has been going on. Yeah, sometimes there have been times where we've had to leave it open a little bit longer than that, but subspace is healed up, so yeah, it doesn't take as long now.
All right. Thank you, Annemieke. Today I had a new bowl open for 8 hours. Then I sensed that I had to close it. Can this be dangerous?
No. Like Lora was saying, her autistic son, and that, got to remember this autism has that chance of changing their psychic spirit senses, to sensitize them greatly. Like my own son was that way. And he can feel that bowl needs to be covered. And it starts making some people feel anxious and kind of nervous. And certainly those kids that like canaries in the coal mine will tell you that way before you feel it. and they get that reaction. They get and physically are acting that way, or trying to get away from it. They want to go out of the house. Yeah. So if you feel anything, even just a little tired, a little fuzzy brained, maybe it hasn't gotten to feeling like a nervous thing yet, those are signs you need to cover the bowl. They need to be covered. So in that respect, I don't know if they're dangerous. I don't think so. I think for people who are really, really, really sensitive, it's going to make them extremely uncomfortable. You wouldn't be thinking clearly enough, like to be driving a car in heavy traffic. You'd just be nervous and anxious and tired. You get weak. You get tired.
So try to avoid it. Okay. Thank you, Polly. Thank you, Laura. Very helpful. My unbalanced next door neighbor. The property has a long, sad, bad history. All right. I think this is in reference of what you have done with your property. Laureen, can someone define radionics? I think we covered a lot of that, but anybody else wants to chime in? All right. I guess not.
Yeah. Okay.
No, you went to great length to describe a lot about it. So when you explained the energy, the healing energy.
Yeah, I think she asked that question as part of it. So you got it. Okay.
And Belinda, these explanations over and over again and personal examples are so helpful. Yep. Thank you, Belinda. Annemieke, what did the bowl stop, Kay? What happened to you? Why the bowl stopped? I don't think I understood.
Mm.
I think you were talking about the using the metal pendulum and the bowl stopped broadcasting that. Right.
They don't like metal, and that Dorothy's pendulum must have been just really, really, really full of all kinds of old thought forms and energies and stuff. And what we mean by the bowl stopped, it turned itself off. And it has the program in there to do that. And sometimes I've seen when the program wasn't in there, somebody didn't put it in, and they needed it to be stopped, and the programs all stopped. They stopped broadcasting. The bowl stopped working until we took everything out. And then it just, whoop, the motor just started right up again.
I want to
Okay.
share one thing with that too. Sometimes I'll notice that a bowl, it doesn't seem to be creating as much of a scalar wave, but going in and taking the programs out, kind of looking at them. I think Laura calls it fluffing the bowl or something like that. Going through them, just asking, do I still need this one, or just taking them and blowing them off, or flap them a little bit and stick them back in. It's like the scalar wave is more intense and more. I don't know if focused is the right word, but it's definitely it's putting up more energy, more scalar wave.
I think it was Deanna who came up with that fluffing. Like your salad goes flat after a while and you fluff it. That you just kind of, and dusting off, I think is a good I encourage people who have broadcasts that they leave in for multiple months to go in once a month or regularly and take everything out. And always double check that everything should go back in. But dusting is, some of us have dust sensitivities, and so getting that dust out really, that's one of the things I think that sometimes that wave just is not quite as potent.
Okay. We need to, I don't know, hurry up a little bit. I know we said we go as long as there are questions, but our dinner time is coming around.
And maybe a bathroom break.
Anybody who wants to go to the bathroom, just
I'm in. I'm staying. I'm good. If we can make it this.
okay. We have Hannah. Usually I get a clear and direct yes or no with the pendulum. Sometimes the pendulum does not move at all for a question. Is this a neutral, like no, yes or no? Or is my question not clear?
That would.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, for me, sometimes, I mean, it could be that your question is not clear. It could be the answer is like, it's not necessarily a no, not necessarily a yes. Go ahead, Laura, add in there.
No, either of those things. And when I get I'll use my pendulum to ask. I will then, it's like if it's holding or going off in a direction, I'm like, do I need to change my question? And it'll say yes or no. Or, do I need to clear myself? I've had a pendulum actually hold and not work where I don't think I was ready to hear the answer. It was one of those where I was getting a little too close to the fire, and and they wanted to make sure it was accurate. And so it was like, I've asked, is this a yes, no question? Because some are, we think it should be a yes or no, but the question isn't. It's just bigger. And that's where Joanne was asking, is it patient with the beginner? Totally patient with the beginner. And then as you get further along, I swear it knows, and it just kind of pushes you a little further to get your language and your wording better. And you could be at that point, and that's why you're getting more holds. It's like it's time for you to clean it up a little bit, to sit down and listen. But I would use your pendulum actually to ask those questions. Being over here, sitting here, I can't answer for you. It's you. But ask more questions. It's definitely not yes or no if it's holding.
Right. Sometimes I have to, if I'm too close to something, I'll go, Laura, help.
We call them pendulum buddies or red door buddies, and that, to kind of promote the mentorship, the circle. There's a reason we're calling it a circle. It's a community. Plus it's kind of cool to use the word circle when we're dealing with bowls. Kind of fun play, but we're creating a community, so there's other people, who might want to come play with you and and help ask these questions for you.
Great stuff. Thank you, guys. Thanks for the question. Here's a very specific question from Ricky, and I don't know, maybe we need to defer this to the Googleverse, but what on earth are moonwood house energies as seen on one page from the coherence program? You got 1 minute, Kay.
Well, that there's the moon house is a really, really old phrase, and it comes out of Europe. and it has to do with very specific wood that was grown in a very specific way, and the seeds of that tree were planted when the moon was just so, and it's on this side of the hill and not that side, and goes on and on. And that wood is really, really special, and they make big planks out of it, and they build a house out of it. And they try not to use other kinds of materials, the least amount of metal as possible. They use old joinery methodology. And this wood gives off a tremendous amount of love song centered energy. So the whole building, everything in the building, all the people that go in the building, they end up with getting this love song frequency, and they start to resonate. You stay in the building long enough, you'll resonate with that frequency. And this guy that we followed, this doctor, who became an ex-doctor, moved and decided to build his house out of this kind of wood, and in the kind of architectural style methodologies that the wood likes to be in. And that's where we first heard about that. So I couldn't resist to had to make a program to make buildings have that kind of energy.
All right, you almost stayed in a minute.
Wow, miracles.
Hannah, can you remotely program the red door? I think we covered that, but like my bowl is at home and I'm somewhere else and I want to add a broadcast without being physically there.
Yeah, we did that one.
But the short answer is yes, you can. But holding a clear intent is paramount. And then the next one from Hannah is, could you create a mini travel red bowl? I think the size we have now is about how mini it gets for travel.
Yeah, you don't change size. This particular configuration is exactly what it needs to be to make the scalar wave. If it gets too small, it can't make it. If it gets too big, it can't make it. You're making something slightly different that may not have a scalar wave in it. So, no, if you want to travel with it, you got to travel with it whole size, and we all do. We love our bowl so much. If we go someplace, we always take the bowl with it. We have a bowl that we travel with in the car, even if we're only going to the grocery store. It's in the bowl. It's in this little travel bag that's, I don't know, is that made for a pot? For like a...
Yeah, it's I think it's made for a slow cooker or a fast cooker. I don't know.
Yeah. It's the right size, perfect size. It fits in there. It's got a lid. It's even red colored. And so if we want to, shut the bowl off, we just close that up and zip it up, and it's covered by red, and it doesn't leak out any of its frequencies. But yep, you could do that. We always travel. Even when I was traveling on airplanes with suitcases, I would take at least one, sometimes two bowls. And I think I had 3 bowls when I went to travel to my daughter who was delivering her baby, because I needed a lot of bowls to be able to manipulate.
Okay. Oops. Lora jumped off. She's probably coming back. So we have a bunch of thank yous from Annemieke, Belinda, Lorraine, and Susan, and I want to share Lorene's because this is a good one. They're all good, but this one refers to your story about your own healing work, Kay. Thank you, Kay, for your share. I'm so happy you are tenacious and persevered to find your healing and then share this amazing, beautiful healing modality with us. So thank you all for expressing your gratitude. And I just realized I was an hour ahead with the time. So we have a little more time before our dinner time. So if anybody has some pressing questions, just put them in the chat. This was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for all your questions, for being here live. It's very, very exciting. And
There's, oops.
if you want to jump in, here's the QR code for that and the link. I'm sure by now we all have that. And remember, get in touch with the Loras. I only have one Lora email, loraketted@gmail.com. But if you're working with Lora and want more of the good stuff, of course, contact her as well. If you want to share your email, Lora, please.
It's eternalmoment4@gmail.com.
There we are. Thank you. And the Circle Mentorship, same thing. I'm going to put that up for a few minutes here quick too. And Laura Ketty, you wanted to jump in.
Oh, I just saw one more question.
Oh,
What kind of cloth do you cover the bowl with?
we actually
Wasp.
don't cover it anymore.
I was about to say you never cover it.
We put this instead of covering, so it puts the bowl to work. The reason you would cover it is because you don't want the full effect of the bowl on your body anymore, or your kids' bodies or the pets or something like that. But it's been open too long. But we utilize all our bowls to be broadcasting to some person or somebody's dog or cat or horse or goats. I've treated everything.
I got
Yeah,
3
even
goats that have
mice
bowls.
and all kinds of things, and gardens and all that stuff. So if it's not working on somebody, it's working on the whole world, on world peace, world awakening. But what we used to cover it with when I first started, we covered them up. It was a red cloth about yay big, which is kind of like a big napkin, cloth napkin, and some of them, and they're bright red. They have to be the same kind of lipstick, fire engine red, and thick, so not nothing opaque, and you cover it all up, and that stops the bowls working out into your space around you. But we don't do that anymore. And I ended up giving all those napkins away. So
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah, we ship the bowls with that World Healing card in it too. It'll come, everybody who gets their bowl, it arrives with the World Healing card in it. So you'll have that card.
Okay. Paula uses a pie basket for her bowl.
Perfect.
All right. This was fantastic. Thank you, Loras. Thank you, Kay. Beautiful, beautiful. So exciting. I'm so glad we did all this. And of course, thank you for all the wonderful people joining us live and for all your questions and sharing. So great to be with you here. Any other thoughts? Anybody?
Mm. If you like this, let other people know. You know, it's not a secret. It's not some kind of mystery school where you're not supposed to tell anybody about any of this. No, please tell people about it, because we want people to wake up and we want people to be able to heal themselves and their family and reduce their medical bills and all that kind of stuff. So spread the word, share it with people.
Yes, please. Please share it. I was thinking last night with my husband, when was the last time I went to the doctor? And it's been 10 years. I haven't, and I only get sick or detoxing, whatever you want to call it. I'll get a little detox here or there, but to really be bad, it happens like every 5 years or so. No, I just you feel a little scratch and you find what you need and it helps. Sometimes as we're really cleaning our system, we need to, and I had that recently, lay down, sleep, purge out the poisons when you're going big changes. But it's amazing. I mean, really, if you know somebody else who could use this, please do share.
And one more, subscribe to the channel and push the notification button. So, because we're going to be doing a lot more on this channel from here on going forward. And what Lora said about not getting sick, I think that applies to pretty much every serious bowler. It's just
Yeah, it applies to us.
absolutely
Yeah.
beautiful.
You're doing good when your PCP drops you because you haven't been in.
Yeah, Laura's PC primary
Great
care
story,
physician
Lora.
dropped her.
Thank you for the opportunity to share my passion for the Red Door. Seriously, this has been wonderful.
Thank you for sharing it. Very cool. Yeah, when your doctor drops you because you're not coming in
Right.
often enough. Yes, a sign.
Something's changed.
Something's working.
Yeah.
Better than the doctor, possibly.
It saved my life.
I think ours too. Yeah. And I know other people, so many other people. I get so many different stories from folks. I hear you ladies with all your stories. Fabulous. The people that have gotten help. People that you would think, oh no, this is their ticket out. They don't sound good, look good. Those papers don't look so good as to what they got. And then they turn right around.
Okay, and I will share the links to the playlists where all this juicy stuff is being collected. So you only have one link to go to get all these sessions and all the videos that led up to these sessions with the Red Door Healing success stories. We will continue to add to those as well. So thank you again so much for being with us today. And I hope we see you again very soon. Jump in and mentorship, you know where to find that now. You have the links or you have the emails to the Loras. So we're all good. This was super beautiful. Thank you. Love you.
Thank you, everybody for participating. You guys for making this happen. This is so exciting, so beautiful. And it's what I always dreamed of. Yeah. Thank you.
Love you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.